Howdy, folks. I'm 8 merry maids manually milking mooing mammals.
I'm Amber.
And here are more mooing mammals for us to milk.
Milk them for all they're worth.
Because we're farmers. Moo. Let's get started. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Asking My Husband to Fill My Stocking? This is a throwaway account. I'm a 39-year-old female, and I work as a nurse in the ER. My husband is a 40-year-old male, and we've been married for 16 years and have 3 children together. I have always completed a majority of the Christmas shopping since our oldest child, 14, was born. This has been a non-issue in the past, as it makes more sense since I know a majority of my children's likes and interests, as I do a large amount of the household responsibilities. Which is fine, as my husband is very busy working in the marketing sector. This holiday season, I have taken an increase in the number of shifts I have, and I have not been able to have as much time as usual to complete the holiday shopping. I have purchased and organized all of the presents for my children, husband, and each of our in-laws. However, I have not bought the stocking stuffers. My husband has decreased his hours around the holidays, and I have asked if he could please go and buy the stocking stuffers. These were all organized, and all he needed to do was pick them up from the respective stores, as I didn't want to risk them not arriving in time if I were to order online. I made time to go after a long shift to buy the gifts for my husband's stocking, as not to spoil the surprise. It is also important to note that each year I have bought my own stocking stuffers, otherwise it would be empty, as it's not really my husband's thing. In the list that I gave him, I had my name written, and a list of possible ideas for my gifts. When I got home from work last night, he told me that my joke was pretty funny. I asked what he was talking about, and he said that it's not like I actually thought that he would be filling my stocking, as I'm a grown woman, and can get over myself. And he's never done it before, so why should he do it now? I was extremely tired and fractious after a long shift, and admittedly I blew up at him, which he was in tears laughing about. He asked how I could be serious about this, and truly thought that this was some big elaborate joke. I know that I could easily just buy my own things, but honestly I'm quite fed up, so I think that this is a hill I'm willing to die on. When I expressed my frustration and disappointment to him this morning, he said that I was a jerk for asking that much from him, and it was unreasonable, and I was being childish. So, am I the jerk because I completely understand that my blowing up at him was an overreaction, but still think that the actual situation was valid? Alright, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. And it sounds like this has been an issue for years, where you are constantly putting effort into the relationship and your husband can't be bothered. I believe in the comments Opie says he also doesn't buy her Christmas gifts. The way he approached this whole thing was just really gross. And so I'd recommend returning his gifts, because he's a grown man. He can buy his own stocking stuffers. Like, just the audacity of being like, well, you're a grown woman, so you can buy your own stuff. Well, he's a grown man. I'm assuming he probably makes more, which is why he makes you do all the household stuff. So he can buy his own gifts. He can buy his own stocking stuffers.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a valid point. I mean, I think that this is one of those situations where it seems like he has not been pulling his own weight for a very long time. And it seems like he's pushing back on OP because it feels like he has to do this little bit of extra stuff. He's probably already upset, fed up that he has to do this small, tiny thing for her. Yeah. And now he's trying to make her, he's basically trying to degrade her in order to make her kind of like give up on asking him, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of like a weaponized incompetence, more or less. Like, especially the way he doesn't, OP's like, well, I know what the kids like.
Yeah.
He can ask the kids what they want.
Yeah, why is it that you have to do all the Christmas shopping? And I mean, I know that you do most of the domestic duties, but it sounds like you're working full-time as well. Mm-hmm. So I think that this needs to be one of those situations where he needs to pull more of his weight.
Yeah, like, what actually is he contributing to the household other than money? Is he actually being a good partner? Because it doesn't sound like it.
Yeah. I would be really curious about what the chore distribution here is and how much he's actually pulling his own weight, because from this post, it sounds like OP's taking care of all the children. They're also working. They're doing like all the, mental labor in this relationship, where they have to consider all the things that the kids want and, give them a good Christmas and whatnot. Whereas he just gets to be the dad and be like, we knew what to get you kids this year.
Yeah, like, his name shouldn't go on any presents if he didn't put any thought or consideration into them.
So I think this is a really unfortunate situation. I think that OP is starting to see kind of the cracks that are here. They've probably been doing this for a very long time and haven't really seen or understood why the dynamic here isn't as healthy as it could be. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Tiger says, stop filling his stocking and see how he feels on Christmas Day. Does he buy you a present to open from under the tree? If not, then don't bother doing one of those for him either. He won't be upset. He's a grown man. And Christmas is evidently just for kids. Not the jerk, you deserve better. Nurses and ER workers, especially during the festive season, give so much of themselves and get so little in return. And OP replies, he doesn't buy me a present for under the tree, as he's never sure what to get me. And when I give him ideas, he claims that there's no thought, and it's the thought that counts. It has been something that I haven't loved in the past, but I've made my peace with it, as my children are now old enough to get me presents on their own accord, and with thought behind them. Alright, okay, so you know what I forgot to do? No presents for OP's husband.
Yeah, absolutely no presents for this guy.
Oh, it's too hard for me to think about what you want, wife, that I married and supposedly have a relationship with.
But also, if you tell me what you want, then there's no thought in it. I'm not going to put thought in anyway, because, that's too hard, but...
Yeah. Oh my goodness, this guy. OP, what is this guy doing? I give him a nice vacation away from you guys during your holiday season and see, maybe he'll start to appreciate having the kids and his wife around.
Yeah, maybe give him some divorce papers.
Well, I mean, I think certainly like separation is a good place to start. I think maybe marriage counseling is a good place to start. But I think that this guy is just wholly inconsiderate. He seems like he only considers himself, and any effort beyond the bare minimum is just too much for him.
And I hate how he's convinced OP that this is reasonable,
Yeah.
that, oh, well, I just can't do these things.
Yeah. Not reasonable, no OP. This guy needs to pull his weight. He could at least buy you something for under the tree, right? Poor OP is over here buying themselves presents or something like that. I don't know. Even the kids know your wife better than you do, apparently.
Yeah.
What is wrong with this man? And Spiky Miss says, you don't get any presents from him at all at Christmas, and you're asking if you're the jerk. You definitely aren't, and you deserve a lot more respect and kindness from your husband. Next year, drop the rope. Leave him to get the presents for his family, and just short your family, children, and something for yourself. Not the jerk. And OP replies, I just worry that I'm not being fair to him by getting upset over this because gift giving isn't his love language or anything like that, and yet I still expect it from him. Okay, well, gift giving, if you're I'm going to have a breakdown here.
Yeah.
If your love language is gift giving, then he should accommodate your love language by doing acts of gift giving for you.
I would definitely recommend going into individual therapy to work on your self-esteem, OP. You seem to be under the impression that your husband shouldn't have to do anything because you're a massive burden and inconvenience to him by existing. And that's not okay.
You're not a massive burden or inconvenience to your husband. You're doing him huge favors
right.
here.
He's the one being a burden and an inconvenience. He can't be bothered to do things that your children, who are literal children, can do.
Yeah. No gifts for him. He gets negative gifts.
Yeah. Take back his gifts so then he gets the negative gifts.
Yes. Take away everything. Half of everything, in fact. Half of everything, OP. All right, folks, on our next letter, which is hopefully not going to be quite as rage-inducing, is titled, Today I messed up by treating my friend like her suitcase. Technically, it was yesterday that I messed up, but there's no subreddit for that, so here we are. Yesterday, after work, something exciting happened. A friend of mine from way back who moved to the West Coast flew back for an early Christmas. And I was the lucky one who got to pick her up from the airport. And by lucky, I mean nobody else wanted to do it, and I didn't mind, so I was on airport duty. So I tracked the flight, and I waited in the cell phone lot. And then, when she was ready to be picked up, I went around to the arrivals for extraction. So I tracked the flight, I waited in the cell phone lot, and then, when she was ready to be picked up, I went around to arrivals for extraction. Her plane was delayed, so I had entirely too much time to think about funny things that I could do on arrival. At most airports these days, or at least the airport that I frequent, there's usually a plethora of cops around. This was a factor that I had not considered when I got a case of the clevers. So, I find my friend, and she has her arms open wide for a big hug. Rather than hug her, I stooped down a bit and then I threw her over my shoulder in a fireman's carry and started. Then I grabbed and started talking to the monstrosity that she calls a suitcase instead of her, asking the suitcase how the flight was, how her boyfriend back west was, and stuff like that. We make it back to my car, her shrieking and laughing the whole time, pounding on my back and screaming, "Put me down, you jerk," which I ignored. I place the suitcase by the door and then I roll my eyes. Dude, seriously, you need me to open the door? So I open the passenger door and I heave the suitcase in the passenger seat and then I circle round back with my shrieking and wiggling friend and then I pop the trunk open. My friend realizes what I'm doing and she shouts, "If you put me in that trunk, you are dead." And immediately after that, there's a really loud and unnerving squealing sound. A police car's loudspeaker makes it when it turns on before I hear a very loud, "Put the woman on the ground and step away." With those instructions being repeated by a very serious sounding voice behind me and the sound of footsteps approaching rapidly. We both freeze and I put her very gently on the ground and I take 2 steps back, keeping my hands very far away from my body. As soon as there was separation between us, I was told to get on the ground and place my hands on my head, which I did very calmly and slowly, followed by instructions not to move. I had my fingers crossed in my head that my friend wasn't vindictive enough to feed into it, and thankfully enough, she had mercy this time. No, he wasn't kidnapping me. He's just an overgrown child who doesn't think things through. Yes, we arranged for him to pick me up and drive me home from the airport. He's just dumb. No, I'm not under duress, I promise. He's just an idiot. I would like to go home now. Can we please leave? Yes, this is my parents' address. This is my cell phone number. Feel free to follow up in an hour. I'll be there. After a few minutes of conversation, I am allowed to stand up and given a bit of a lecture about how seriously kidnapping is taken at airports, and such matters aren't considered funny, which I soberly agree with, swearing up and down that I hadn't even considered the kidnapping perspective and thought it would just be funny. Once the police withdrew, I put the suitcase in the trunk and let my friend get in and we drove off, which led to a second lecture about how much of an idiot I can be, which I agreed with wholeheartedly. I'm sure that she's going to get revenge on me somehow. All right, folks, what do you think of this?
Quite the story.
You know, I really enjoyed this story. Like, he would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for all those police at the airport. I don't really have much to add to this one other than don't kidnap people and don't pretend to kidnap people. I don't know. Especially not when the cops are around. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. And Amber, she has a joke.
What did one monster call another monster who has 2 heads, 4 yellow drippy eyes, 3 nostrils, and fur growing on its neck?
Hey, Ma, how you doing?
Cute.
Oh, cute? I thought that was gonna be like hey, hi, Ma, like, oh, it's she's lovely, she's my mother, or something like that type of thing. I'm getting the hang of you, jovial Bob Stein. I'm getting the hang of you. And I have Earl Grey. Alright, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Special Sunday! And Amber, you know what makes it special?
What?
Our viewers. And you. And Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please, have it involve a very bad idea.
Do not kidnap people at airports?
Yes.
Don't kidnap people in general.
Yes, those would be bad ideas. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.